Thank you all for coming today. Let me move my drink. Oh, gotta stay hydrated in this hot little office. So what are we doing today? What we're doing is, hey, we are going to look at Subvert. Now I've just tested it. I've set it up locally. Here it is on GitHub, subvert.dev. It's an open source video transcription app, containerized, AI powered, completely free to use, easy to get started. I'm not using Docker, which might be the problem here, but we're going to look at this as we go through refactoring. So let's see. So here's Subvert. Here's my local version. Here is the code base. I've created a quick screen recording, which is just me looking at the code base. There's nothing fantastic or exciting. Just to create something that we can pass through and see if it works. So the first thing I like to do when I look at any sort of refactoring, I'll tell you what, I'm going to hide my beard and face, and I'm going to allow you to focus more in on the code itself, because that's the whole point of refactoring, right? So what we're going to do is quickly appearance. We are going to zoom in to about 125. How's 150? 150 looks better on for me. Let me know if that's too big or too small for you, and we can go from there. So we do have some Docker stuff going on. I can add my key here. I'm not sure if I want to do it through Docker, because it's less about running it, more about just the code for this stream. So more beard and face. Yeah, there's more beard and face than actual anything else. Okay, so the first thing I like to do is look at Composer. You can see we're on 8.1 there, which is fine, but we could be on newer. Got a few outdated dependencies. That's about it. That's the main thing that we've got going on here. So what we can do is we can update this to 8.2. That is always a good start. So what I'm going to do quickly is let's just have a look at this. So git status. What have I changed? I need to remove all of these idea stuff. I accidentally modified startup.sh. Didn't actually need to. These things happen. So git ignore. I'm going to add a new file here for git ignore. I'm going to say source /idea. Let's check that again. Contract files. Actually, it is here that they are. So git status again. Should have less, which is great. New file idea.gitignore. I don't know what's going on there. Let's just have a look at that. Okay, so we could probably remove that, to be honest. We're git ignoring everything within idea. So let's start from scratch here. So we've got a new file here for git ignore, and we want to ignore anything under idea. So git status, you're good. Git add, we're going to commit and say adding project git ignore. hide IDE files. Yeah, I do have a global git ignore somewhere. I don't think I've configured it yet. I'll have to have a look at that next. So we've got Laravel's running, got my Q worker running, Vita's running, and now we're good. So let's come back to Composer. Let's say switch that to 8.2, do a quick Composer update, make sure that is all up to date. Okay, my bad. Come into source, Composer update. Call that artisan, and we're going to call this root. Here's artisan here. Great. So we're now running on 8.2, which is fine. What we want to do is just do a quick Composer bump and Composer update again. We want to make sure that we're on the latest dependencies, right? So there is that. Come back to here. We are good to go again. That is all there, which is great. Source. What I always like to do is also add JSON into there so that on this I can just format nicely. Nothing else we really need to change on this right now. We've got FFmpeg, OpenAPI, lots of stuff going on. So let's focus more on the code itself. Tests. What tests are there? Absolutely zero tests. Okay. Not what you want to see when you start refactoring. One of the biggest problems I think we're going to have is the way that view is set up. We're not using Inertia or anything like that. So I think that could be a good first start, is could we migrate this over to an Inertia application? To do so, we will need to break a few things, which is okay. We can handle that. So we're going to rename this JavaScript directory to old. It's going to do the refactor. And then we're going to come to here, and we're going to go to Inertia, and let's have a look at how we can get started. So server side, how do we set this up? Composer require. Perfect. Composer require. That's installing. We need a root template like this. So if we come over to views, we've got an app already, but it's not quite what we want. So what we're going to do is refactor, rename that to app old. I always keep things until I've finished a stage. Usually I do this in batches and do PRs as we go, but I'm not going to do that right now. Keep the memory changes, that's what we want. So we're going to want that and the CSS as well. So let's go have a look at vconfig. We're going to want this to be JS, app.js. Come over to here quickly, and what we're going to do is just do this quickly so we can format things nicely. That's all looking good. We can close all of those. Tailwind config is fine for now. CSS, that's okay. Package, All looks good. We can just quickly format that one. So that part done. We want to create the middleware. Sponsors, we can worry about that later. Client side. We can make sure we've got this going on. Actions always add. While that is installing, we can initialize the app itself. So we can come over to new directory JS. And we're going to create an app.js, which we're going to keep this in for now. We're also going to want to create a new directory for pages, components, layouts, solving components. Got to make sure we're doing it this way. Name. Yep, we're doing it the right way. Defining a root element, not too important. Excellent. So let's get started. Here's our app. Let's go back to our actual app here. And this is going to have issues. We're expecting this, I think. Subvert. Yeah, this is causing issues. So let's have a look at this. How do we want this to work? Come over to roots, come over to web. At the moment, we just got a simple view. What we actually want to do, we want to do a get request. Come on, Steve, learn to type. For now, we're just going to do it in line and refactor it out. Inertia, render, home. Get that one out. Inertia app. Let's come down to here. That should all be working. I don't know why it's causing issues. Save other hints for now. Let's have a look at another project quickly. Something that I'm playing with. Resources, JS. Might be TypeScript, but it's going to work in the same sort of way. So we're just going to grab that, do the same thing, do an app namey thingy. Grab all of this and do it like this. Ziggy view isn't installed for some reason. So what we need to do is figure out how to get Ziggy in. I'm assuming it's just a composer, require Python code Ziggy. Hey, good guess, Steve. Good guess. And now we're good. That JS should now work. Yep, that's all good. Come back to Vite. And quickly close all of those. npm run dev. Let's see if that's going to work. No, we're going to have issues there. So, okay, so that's probably because we were using all of this stuff. That won't be needed. Probably don't need the define component. So let's try again. Looking good. Come back over to here. Page not found. Perfect. We are going in the right direction. So in pages, we can come over, create a new home.view. I like to start with script up the top. Just me. Like script. Maybe the layouts. So let's look at the old stuff. What was going on? Mounting app stuff, Axios, app.view, class wrapper. Let's go look at the CSS. What was he using? Tailwind. Okay, so we could probably copy across most of this. Grab this for the layout. Come over to layouts. And we just say application.view or something like this. We don't actually need much. I'm just going to do for this is create a slot. Our home view here, we just use application. And then we can just pull in the two components that we actually need. So the components that were created, the file drop, and heading. So a lot of these components, we can just grab these, copy them, drop them into there. And what we're going to want is heading and file drop, basically. That one. Not that one. So let's import heading from components. Heading and import file drop from components file drop. Let's see if that now works. Cool. That part won't work, which is fine because we can come around to that. Ooh, failed to resolve components heading from pages home. Does this file exist? Yes, hopefully it does. Okay, might need the view extension on it. Hey, Benjamin. Is not defined in app.js. Ziggy view. Ziggy. Let's go have a look what's going on. Ziggy view is there. Use a plugin. It's a global TS thing. So what we'll do is we're just going to drop that. And look, we've got Inertia now working. Great. What we can do for now is delete JS old. What we'll also do is inside views, delete the app old, delete anyway, is index. Don't need that roots. Remove that. That's a view. That's a response. We can refactor that in a little while. So close all tabs and we'll just commit this. So git status, you can go git add, git commit. Switching to using Inertia view. Looking good so far. So what we want to do is we want to do a couple of tests, right? But first, I hate using it like this. I mean, it's a simple application, but even so, I still feel like you need to Hey, sorry about that, guys. It looks like my internet decided to fart and just stop working. So I do apologize. We are coming back. Remind me where we were. Where did we get to? Questions. So what we're moving over to Inertia, Solve and Improve. Well, the current, oh my God, my internet's flipping again. I do apologize. If it's happening, I will just reschedule. I might have to buy a few more additional routers for the house. Okay, so why would we move to Inertia over an SBA? Well, because then we don't have to create loads of different endpoints. You know, the way that this was working is that endpoints, which is great. With posting access, things are working, it's fine. But two separate apps in one app, and you don't need that. That's just kind of overkill. So let's look at just one nice application. Inertia. So use it. Don't these two separate technologies not properly utilizing them. So let's look at making our first controller. We're going to make a controller, going to be web. I'm just going to call it home controller. It will be invocable, and we're going to create a pest test. Speaking of, we should probably install pest. Okay. So we got our first conflict. Composer, JSON, PHP unit. Let's delete PHP unit. We're going to say composer update. Wait for it to do its magic. Let me zoom in so you can kind of see what I'm doing. It's all looking good. Let me zoom in so you can see all of the code. Great. So all of that is working. So now we can compose a require pest. Good so far. Pest v2. Perfect. That is what we like. It's weird. It only seems to be my Mac that seems to have issues with the connection. So maybe I just need a new Mac. I've been looking for an excuse, so this is a perfect one for me. Well, something is happening. What? I couldn't tell you right now. Pest, yeah, that's all looking good. This is hanging. Yeah, I think new Mac. Right. Let's come back. So composer request plugin Laravel. That'll install. That'll be great. That'll do all of its business that we need. And that's great. We've now got pest. So what we want to do is we want to write a test. This test, pointless. So we delete it and we add a .keep in there, just so that that directory is committed and your unit tests do not break. This example test here, it does nothing, so we can delete that. The first real test is over here. Is it loads the home page. It's important when you're doing this sort of stuff. There wasn't any tests to begin with, and because of the way it was built, I would have had to do something like Cypress. Yeah, I'm just going to be quick today. It seems to be that I have internet. Simplify that one. We are good. We are successful. Set inertia. Plot this in here with a circle inertia. Page. Then we can use that page to say that we expect the component to be home, etc. And that is all we really need to do for the testing for that page right now. So we want to be able to come on, what's going on? Yeah, it seems to be having issues today. Am I in vendor? One failed. Perfect. URL doesn't exist. It's all looking good. So up here, you can grab this and just say home controller. That's all we need. That needs to come and use that. This can then just be refactored to use. We're not going to need that controller. I'm not going to make it final because it is not mine. So there is that. So we can use the inertia response and just return inertia, simplify, and that's it. So hopefully now, still failing. Target class URL doesn't exist. I don't even know where that's coming from. Home controller test line 11, sorry. see what's going on here. He's done the autoloader. It seems to have stabilized, which is great. Still getting failures. Target class URL doesn't exist. Let's just do a root list quickly. Web home controller. It's all looking good. Yeah, that's quite strange. I'm not sure what could. Oh, I think yes. It's clear. Render bin test init. Oh. Now we can do all of this stuff. We can delete all of this that we don't actually need. We're not using the database right now. Our test case is fine. This is fine. Oh, don't need to do that. Now we can just use artisan test and we are good. We can delete that old example test again. That gets generated by pest. Delete those, come back to here and just do an A test. We need to migrate the configuration. And let's render bin pest, migrate that configuration. Down to here, delete the old one. This is still good. We don't need the database, so we're not going to worry about that. Close all those tabs. A test. We're good. It loads the home page. So what this test is allowing us to do is make sure that we can get the URL, we get a successful response, we get an inertia response that loads the correct component. From there, we can work on other things. So we're good to start going. What does this file do? What does this component actually do? So here's our heading, which just gets different subtitles. Lots of stuff going on here. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so we can just format this a little bit. Here we go. A little bit cleaner. Div element isn't allowed here. Oh, well. The file drop, what this will do is ref, video, started, process, language, options, reactive, check file size, on change, drag over, drag leave, Axios post to the process endpoint. So we could look at replacing this file drop component completely because we only need it once, right? So if we come over to our home here, this file drop, maybe not what we need. What we need instead is something similar. So let's open up the file drop and let's put it side by side. What we'll do is we'll start with the UI. We want something like this. Here. Now this is going to break. It's going to fail. That's fine. We're expecting this because the components aren't there yet. So started with excess but not defined. So started as a ref, process ID is ref, interval. All of these are current refs, which we could probably copy across. Check file size. Yeah, we'll keep that one too. So we're going to grab all of this and we are going to add this up here. Come back, refresh. We can get again. I can choose a file, but now we're having issues processing with the event handler. So what we want to do here is look at using a form realistically. So let's just kind of close some of this up. Interval ID is not being used right now. That's all fine. Check file size. All of this is kind of all the reactive stuff. What we want is const form equals use form. And a file starts as null. That's what we'll do for now. We'll come back, come to Inertia, file uploads. So when making Inertia requests that include files, Inertia will automatically convert the request data to a form data object. So use form. And that's all we need. We got a form. We can do a progress within there. Event target files, input form avatar equals that. Okay, so we need to kind of grab that and bind it back in some way. So here's all the buttons, select options, a stepper, started, start, input file. So let's just kind of format all of this. ID, class, accept, unchange. We don't want to run unchange. We want to bind. Form dot file. So now when we come over to this, we are failing. Great. Inspect again. Are we going to get the view dev tools? Here we go. Here's the view dev tools. File, form, reactive. Cool. So let's just focus for a second. Name, file handler, ID, class, ref file. Probably don't need the ref. Drop that ref. Yeah. Where else are we looking for file? File drop, file size. Using a form, file drop, type file, lots of files. Doesn't look like we're using it anywhere else right now, which is great. So what we're also going to do to make it simple is just drop that file drop out for a bit because we don't actually need it because we're going to replace it. Here we go. Choose a file. Open that. Nothing going wrong there. So now our form should have a file. Awesome. Hello. So how do we want this to work? So when that changes, when we've got, so drag over, drag leave, we haven't set up those yet. So we kind of want those on change, drag over, drag leave, drop, video, start. So we want to do some sort of draggy over stuff. So let's test that. I'm going to shrink that, and we're going to test if this is working now. Bam. Console. Substring. That's fine. Cool. So drop classes.value, check file size, video.value, form file equals this. Let's test it again. Drop it. Check file size seems to be the issue. Substring, max file size. So window max file size seems to have an issue. Come here, undefined. Window. Still undefined. Okay, so what we're going to do is for the max size, we're just going to do something random for now, and we'll come back to it. Drop slice. Slice is coming through here. Okay, so we'll ignore the check file size. We'll come back to that a little bit later. Got to be a nice way. Maybe we can use like precognition or something like that. Yeah, I'm really not a JavaScript developer, so I do apologize if this isn't how it should be done. So once we have a file, what we need to do, if started, else, you chose video.aim. Okay, we'll have to play around with that. So I want to go starter.value is true. Come down to the form quickly for the input here. Started.value is also going to be true. So let's just make sure that's working. If we choose a file, that should be fine. And selecting audio. This should now go through the process. Probably not going to, but that's not important. Excellent. So what we want to do is not start that we care about. What we actually care about is the video. Here I show that. Otherwise, do this. Test it this way. Yeah, we don't want to do that, do we? Started stuff. Let's just try again. Cool. reading property name. Okay, so we need to understand this file, right? Change your form multi-part. I don't actually have a form unless you're on about this form here. Can I add additional options? No. Use form, data, inertia form. Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I could turn this into a form, but then we'd have to play around with all these buttons. We'll keep playing. We'll keep playing. We'll figure this out. So once we've got it, console.log form.file. So we've got a file, and we can get that stuff from the form now. So let's remove that. And we need to come down to form file. You chose form.file.name. Button styles, option chapters, button styles, options, languages, chapters, and start. Again. Hey, we are getting there. Yeah, and I haven't done that on submit stuff. This is something that we can come back to. I do apologize for anyone who was expecting good JavaScript, by the way. that isn't me. I don't do good JavaScript. I do Steve JavaScript or Steve script. So let's just click start. That doesn't do anything. That is fine. So start. At click. Submit. So we can come up here and we can go, okay, let's create the submit. Const submit. So we are writing JavaScript, Steve. Calm down. Form.submit to the root of, let's go check the roots. You need a post request initiate. So we need that really. We need a new root. So root post, not the API one. And it's going to go to process. We need to give this a name. Realistically, we're just going to call this home, not GOM. Home and process. So we're going to create a quick controller. A make controller web process controller. Make this invocable, and we're going to generate a pest test. So here we can just process controller there. By that, here we can just say to root process. Post preserve state, yes, and preserve scroll, yes. So once all of that's been done, it's going to go to here, and we can then do some magic. Root is not defined. Okay, so we probably need to restart that. And what we're also going to do is we're going to restart that as well. Let's do the file. Why is root not being defined? How do we get Ziggy up and running in this? Routing. Let's go quickly check Titan Co. Ziggy. Any specific install things that we need to do? With query parameters, I know how to use it. I know what I need to do. Advanced setup, const Ziggy, export Ziggy. I've got Ziggy coming. I've got Ziggy working. Ziggity ziggity. Ziggy includes a view plugin to make it easier. Okay, create app, Ziggy view, Ziggy. Create app and use. Okay, so let's go check our JavaScript quickly because that's probably what's causing the problems. I've got Ziggy view up there. I also need to import Ziggy, apparently. Grab this quickly and go Panko Ziggy. Fist. Next. See if that's going to help. This index doesn't work. So do we want that or do we want to go from there? You can use Axios for root call. I don't want to use Axios. That's the important thing. I don't want to. The requested module does not provide an exported name Ziggy. Okay, so let's have a look. No, but it does export that. View, maybe? Ziggy view from there. So we could probably swap that. Yeah, I don't want that. I want this. Might be easier just to go look at the vendor stuff. Come down to Titan, come down to Ziggy. I want to look into this and look at JS, router. So router, root, no, index. Where is Ziggy? Maybe it's not. If I just delete that, come down to here. And what I can do here instead is just like import Titan Co, Ziggy, source, JS. router. Class constructor router. So much easier when you're doing it a different way. I want to do it the inertia way, but it's being a but. Cannot read properties of undefined reading a process. Okay, so we've moved forward. This is working. Name, we've got it. Ziggy generate. Perfect. See if this works again. Start. Okay, so that's not working. Something's going wrong with the way that it's all set up. What I will do instead is I will cheat with a Laravel. Go look at how Breeze does it. So we can look at the stubs, inertia view, Vite config. We can go set up all of it. Not now. So let's come down to our Vite config and get this all set up. So view wants to be done that way. Resources app, refresh true. Excellent. All of that is working. Next, resources, JS. Our app, Ziggy view is there. We're just going to grab this and replace it. All of it. Every little bit of it. It's going to do it that way. Some Bootstrap. Bootstrap's not even there, so I'm not going to worry too much. I think for now, I will test that and see how it works. Come over to Vite, try reloading, here, and refresh. Ziggy is not defined. Why does it keep complaining about Ziggy? It's always Ziggy's fault. Ziggy view. Ziggy. You're going to load it? Doesn't provide an export called Ziggy. Okay. This is the biggest problem when you're doing refactors. Do not disturb now turned off. Okay, so let's try again. Open that. Start. Reading process. Okay. So it seems to be here. So let's drop that. See if it still works. Click. Clickety click. Start. Root is now not defined. Oh, come on. I'm just going to have to do it a different way, aren't I? Let's just go back to where we were. There's Axios. Submit to that for now. We're getting somewhere. Perfect. So let's close that. Close all of these. And we need to look at the PHP stuff, which I know more how to do. Initiate processing. So this is what currently happens. A request comes in, it's validated, they create a new process and dispatch a job. Not bad, right? I mean, it works. Instant thing that we know that we can do. We can create a new validation form request. Make a request for the web process request. Perfect. So we know that these things are going to come through. We can open up the process request. Declare some strict types. Want this to be true. That. And we can drop this in here. So required and file. Required. File. Options. These are just required currently. Come to here. Declare strict types again. We don't need to extend it because we're going to do the process request in here. Remove that, remove this, and this is going to return a redirect response. So, what's next? Here's how it was working, and here's how it will work. So we've now validated, we've moved this. We want to create a new process, which means that we need to look at our database setup, which should already be done, should be using UUIDs. So if we quickly look at the EMV, we've got SQLite set up, come up to our database, migrations, process, got UUID as primary, that's great. Come down to our models, process, has UUIDs, great. So we don't actually have to pass that through. The request options and the request file. So how do we want to do this? I mean, we've got actions that we could use, extracting audio and all that sort of stuff. But what we really want to do is got to do this in a nice way, right? I don't want this to be too Steve-ified. I could easily Steve-ify this and go DDD and make it crazy, but that's not how we want it to work. So instead, what we are going to do is create an action. In this action directory, we are going to create a new directory called processes. And we're going to create a new action called process or create new process. Final, because we don't want final in this one. Naming, they use handle as well, which is great. So in here we can say public function handle. That is similar to how I do it. This will either return a model or it will return a process. That should be it. This needs to accept two things: the options and the file. Now, I don't know what the options are meant to be. So let's go back, look at this database itself. Options is a JSON object. So what we will do at this point is going to dump out all the validated data. Start, choose a file. No data. Okay. Doing a redirect. It is doing a redirect, which we do not want. Let's delete that right now. File, start. Why do you not want to behave? Okay, the options. This is not being passed. So what we need this to do is probably because we haven't got any validation going on. Let's have a quick look. There is a nice way to do this. Pages auth login form dot errors dot options. You can add that into the form. Choose. We may still be getting a validation error, so we need to input. If there's no file, drag and drop. Or we could do like something here that's similar to this. You're going to get input error. We're going to kind of replicate what they do on this input error. If there's a message, show it basically. So email, we want options. Here we go. So click, clickety click. No errors coming back. Errors are empty. Nothing coming back on the network other than a redirect. So this is true. Video is required. That's required. If I just drop that and say all, you can debug from here. So options and a file. We've got that. Come back to this. Options are required. Video is required. Select, start. So it's something in here. Could be that. No. Wait. That'll be it. Naming. Naming is important. Okay, so we got it. We got it. Process controller. We can do validated. And what we're getting back is from here, what we probably want to do is the usual Steve way. I want to say payload. And then HTTP up here. We can create payloads, process payload. So what is this going to have in it? Function, construct, a final class. Because I usually like to use them. I can't because it is open source and not my project. So we've got the process, we want a file, and we want the options. When it comes back, we're going to get an uploaded file. So the first thing that we could do is the file. So private, read only, uploaded file, private, read only, options. That would give us what we need. We can make that read only. That isn't going to be a problem. So this can now just return a new process payload. The file is this. Give us a file bag. Keys, blah, 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 replace. Let's get options and we'll cast that to an array. Means that we can now return a process payload. And when we come over to our controller here, instead, what we'll do is we can say payload. So now if we try this again, array given. Ooh, okay, so in the request itself, this is giving us an array, and we just want to grab the first one. Undefined array key 0. Darn it. Okay, so let's just die and dump on this file. We got a file. A file. Let's go do that. Not how I'd like to do it, but for now it will do. Start process payload. We've got an uploaded file and we've got some options. Subtitles, chapters, summary, default, chapter amount. So what we can do is we can take this, pass it over to here as a payload, and return database transaction. Now, if there's a way that I like to, test that. That worked. Good shout, Silvio. Good shout. So you can use a DB facade. However, we've got a container available to us, and I've started doing it this way because it means I'm using the container a lot more. And I like using the container. So you say private read only, database manager, base, this database transaction where the callback is process query create. want to do is pass through both things, the options and the file. So the file, payload, we can make this public and this public. File, store, videos. You can have options as payload. Drop that. So we're going to try it twice. That is our process. So over here in our controller, we can inject this into our constructor. I'm private, read only, new process as our action. Grab this and we can say that our process is this action handle where the payload is a request payload turn new redirect response. Means we can add this back. If we come back to our web, this will get process. We're going to give this a name quickly and then we can come back to refactor it. We're just going to call that view. Subvert view to URL root subvert view. This isn't going to work right now. However, we can just then add in the process UUID. ID, my bad. Get key. So that should process it. We still need to dispatch a job. That part is fine. We can come around to that. So process video dispatch, passing through the process. What this will do is run through a pipeline, doing all of its magic. We'll come back around to that. Let's just make sure that it redirects right now. Click, clickety click, start. App to old not found. That is fine. It is trying to redirect and load, but it isn't available. That's cool. Just going to close that, move that over here, come over to web, and what we want is we need a new controller for this. So a make controller web view processed file controller invocable test. So you grab that and say root get that name subvert view processed file. For that, this is going to pass through UID. So that over here, we can have a string for the UID. It should return a response from Inertia. Declare some strict types. Delete that. And we are getting there. So the first thing we want to do is find the process, return response. So let's make sure we get into the right place first. Web, comment that one out. View. So now if I click this, invoke return value must be a response. Nothing's returning. Perfect. So now our process controller here, we can come back to view the process file. What we need to do first, however, is pages, and we're just going to create one called process. Template there. Oops. Script setup. What do I need? Come down to here, views process, content, process ID download, download VTT, get the summary, get the chapters, get the transcript. Cool. So I'm just going to grab all of this and drop it in. And we'll refactor it. So we are going to expect a prop. This is going to be a process. This will be an object, and it is required. So up here, process, up here, and we can just say process ID. Template be if process dot transcript. We can grab that, pop it in there. At the minute, it's going to keep that the same. Download process ID, but what we can do instead is swap that, and replace this like that. Means that that if statement can be gone. Do another template here, template v if process dot summary. Then this can be dropped in, and add that as a process dot summary. And copy this again and say process chapters. Change that to chapters. Grab this. Explode process chapters as chapter. V4. Chapter index in process chapters. And we're going to key this by the index. We can kind of polish that in a little bit. Drop that in diff. Transcript array now. If we do have a transcript, we can say subtitles reach process transcript array as I'm just going to keep it like that for now. Drop this in. let's say index divisible by 2, and run that part there. Okay. This is not going to work great, but it'll work. So that's doing all of that. Process, find a process, return the response. So we'll do it in line first. Our process is process query find or fail and an ID of UUID. Then I can return inertia render component is going to be called process. And the props that I want to send process. Click, click, go. Process. We got something. We are viewing it. It works somewhat well. So we can upload, we can create. We just now need to actually process that file itself. So now delete that, come back to that. Don't need this file anymore. That's great. Come over to our web. That's not needed. We can tidy this up in a bit. Don't need env, home, web, process controller. So we want to be able to dispatch, right? What I like to do, my personal way to do this is so in new class, batchable public function dispatch should be, where is it? Process video should queue. There's a job. This is going to return a pending dispatch. So then I can just return a new pending dispatch where the job is the job passed in, which means I can take this in final process controller here, private class. We can say this bus dispatch that the job is a new process video, and the process that I want to send in is that process there. That will queue up the job using our container quite nicely. Come over to our queue. Queue work. Click, clickety, go. Processing video, running, done. Not doing anything, that's fine. So here's our process, here's our options. Nothing happened because something failed, but that's fine. Oh. Okay, so we're dispatching. That means we can now come over to our controllers and say, initiate processing. We don't need that anymore. Come down to our routes. Initiate processing has been deleted. Let's go double check on the API. We can delete that. Process message, status message. Okay, I don't know what that is, but we'll have a look. Next step, we've done that part. Process controller, we are processing the payload. We've got that part. Here's a request. The next thing we want to do is look at this job. So let's declare some strict types. Let's make this PSR 12. You can add a nice integer on that. So for a timeout, we want to create the jobs. We're going to get a process. Or we're going to get public. It can actually be read-only. And we could, we don't really want to do that. I'll just delete that because it's not important. Execute the job. We want to send this process through these, then update the status to be complete. We do have this going on. So instead, you can use the pipeline facade. We want to send passable this process through a certain lot of pipes. Then we want to update something. So let's copy this to the new approach using the facade. Step 1, complete. Drop that pipeline. And let's simplify that one. And then we can, make sure it still does its thing. Defeat, queue, processing done. Okay, so do we want to send this through a pipeline, or do we want this job to batch things? Personally, I feel like this would be better batched. So if we come over to like the Laravel docs and look at job batching, we kind of want this to run. We want to say, okay, so once we've all finished, if we have any issues, then we want to dispatch. Kind of what we need to do. But what I'll do, because I've been doing this for an hour and a half now, I'm going to leave it at that. I will push these changes up to my GitHub. Status, add, git commit, switching to Inertia and using Inertia forms and controllers. Touch all of that up. That is all good. So that is available online. Just Steve King /subvert. You go github.com. Just Steve King subvert. It is just a fork. I'm 3 commits ahead. Drop it in the chat. Anyone watching this back later, I'm going to add it as a banner. You can see that. That is where we want to be going. Just Steve King subvert. And we're going to pick this up again another time. I can start creating a fork eventually. Sorry, this is a fork. I can then create a PR to merge that in. I've got 3 commits. And yeah, we'll take it from there. This is just one big old refactor. But that's how I've approached it so far. That's what I would do. I've got a stream tomorrow, actually. Let's come over to the old YouTube. Not this. I want to come over to here. Tomorrow, I will be doing a Laravel API skeleton. So we're going to look at how we can create an API-focused skeleton for Laravel, similar to the Laravel/Laravel repo, but without all of the weight of a full-stack framework on top of it. So recently, Taylor tweeted about building a more lightweight skeleton people could use. So this is the same thing, but it's more opinionated and aimed at APIs. That's the idea. That's what I'm going to do. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being patient with my internet issues earlier and my JavaScript issues earlier and all of the other issues earlier. But thank you. I'll catch you again next time. Have a good day, good evening, good night, good whatever time it is. Enjoy. Thank you very much.